Today we're going to take a look at propagating plants by layering. This is an easy way to propagate lots of plants, and it's especially useful for plants that are difficult to take cuttings from. Craig Wilson from Gentaina Nursery is going to talk us through the process and show us his tips and tricks to propagate plants by layering.
Okay, so this is Rhododendron schlippenbachii, which is one of the most beautiful of the deciduous rhododendrons, and it's notoriously difficult to propagate. You get an incredibly low strike rate from cuttings. It's possible to raise it from seed, but then how much do you charge for a plant that's taken 15 years to produce? So I've been trying to figure out how I can get, quite a lot of them for the nursery, and I've come up with this idea of layering the twigs, which has meant pulling branches down and burying the twigs. Layering is probably the most common method of propagating this plant, and I'm trying to get a lot of them using this technique. Normally with this sort of layering you just get one piece, but that's of no use to me as a nurseryman. So I've already done this, but what I do is put these stakes in with the holes facing upwards on an angle towards the trunk, and then if you have two people it would help, but pull the branches over and tie them down with a bit of electrical wire. The reason I like the electrical wire is that it doesn't damage the bark. So if you're using a hard substance, then you need to wrap the bark in a bit of leather or a bit of toweling or something to protect it. And then I'm going to pin these twigs down and bury them. They're going to be pinned down with bits of wire. I use coat hangers, but a bit of number 8 fencing wire or anything else really does the job. I've got this piece here and it's got multiple stems, and what I want to do is to try and fan them out a bit so that each one's going to get its light. So I'll be able to pull this one over here, and you can see I'll probably get, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces off it if I can get it all buried. So we'll scrape a channel in the mulch. And you can see beautiful thick mulch. That should be deep enough. Get the pegs. When you're making the pegs, make sure that they're long enough. If you do them too short, then they won't hold. I just pull those two together. Okay, so when you're refilling the hole, if you pick these tips up like that, so that they're facing upwards, one of them just snapped. So we've got all the tips in there. So moving on to the next one. See, I get a heap off that piece. When you're pulling the plants down, the flexibility of plants varies from species to species, so you just need to keep your ears sharp. And as soon as you hear any sort of noises of cracking, stop. This one seems to be fairly flexible, other plants not. So lifting that one up, and that one. And with this piece here, I'll just leave that there, and that'll now grow, and eventually I'll probably be able to layer some more pieces off it in the future if I want to. So I'm just going to cut a few pieces off the silicium really, just so that there's plenty of light coming into the layer. Now you can see with this one I got lots of material on it. So I'll pull one over there. Nice to see a good thick mulch with plenty of microbial activity happening in there. The advantage of doing the tips over doing a piece of older wood is that the tips have many more buds sitting under the bark on the younger wood, so I'm going to get a much higher strike rate. I think I probably should get about 30 plants off that, which for this species is fantastic. In terms of time frames, I suspect it'll probably take 12 to 18 months for them to make roots, maybe longer, but we'll wait and see. It's just a matter of opening it up and checking it.
You don't wound the branches in any way?
Nah.
Not needed.
I think that's a bit of a fallacy, really. I mean, the buds are under the bark anyway. Yeah.
And you need to keep this moist?
Yeah. It's a good idea to give it a water. I mean, schlippenbachii is a fairly thirsty plant anyway, so. But that's a fantastic way for me to get a lot of plants.
And you could use this with other...
Absolutely.
Yeah,
with whatever you want. As long as it has the flexibility to be able to bring it down to the ground. Well, when you're propagating a plant, you almost always propagate from the tips anyway. That's where it's most likely to make roots, on the newer wood. So it's quite possible to put roots on a piece in here, but A, you're only going to get one piece, and B, it's going to be a lot slower than doing tips. Pretty surefire, really. Eventually they're going to make roots. It's just a matter of when.